I started this Minecraft world with one goal and one goal only, and that was to become the richest Minecraft player ever, which is why today I'm going to be making a creeper farm, enderman farm, villager trading hall, and more. But with that all being said, make sure you smash subscribe because, hey, we're trying to hit 25k by the end of the year, and any help would be appreciated. That all being said, let's get straight to day 101. Well, here we are. It's been quite a long time since I've actually played on this world, and there's been a lot of things that have changed. If anything looks different than the ending of the original 100 days, it's because my world actually got reset to day 70. There's a whole story about it, but if you're curious, go watch my live streams, I explain it all. As far as the days go, I mainly spent day 101 just getting everything organized, looking at my extreme wealth, yada yada. I'm amazing, I get it. I also decided it'd be a smart decision to go ahead and give my elytra some mending and unbreaking. I went ahead and named this boy the King's Wings. After that, I got all the stuff I got from looting end cities and put it in a shulker box, because this is junk, right? I'm too rich for this. Now, my first objective for this 200 days was to build a creeper farm, and let's just say I started very early on. Now, I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure you need cats for creeper farms, because creepers don't like cats. So I made myself a fishing rod and I went to go fish. With nighttime soon approaching, I decided to run back to my base and sleep. Day 102, I decided I needed to do a little bit more fishing, although today, it didn't last nearly as long. Definitely not because it gets boring or anything. I returned back to my base shortly after, and I was trying to find a cat, but for some reason, cats were not spawning. You know, last 100 days, I saw so many cats, I got so annoyed because they just made noises 24/7, but nah. This time I can't find any cats. It's like, what the heck? Oh look, a cat. While waiting to find another cat, I decided to pay a visit to my farmhouse. I barely use this thing and I forgot that I have a lot of wheat just kind of sitting in here. So I turned it all into bread and decided, you know what? Let's get some more villagers. But just like every little kid ever, I got distracted, and that's because I found the second cat that I needed. Now I can breed these cats up and get a lot of cats. One of the few things that I actually don't have right now is sand, and wow, my shovel gets this really fast, so something tells me this probably isn't going to be much of an issue in the future. After finding a random way to break into my compound, I decided to sleep for the night. Day 103, I was still gathering all the items I need for the creeper farm, and then I decided to feed my villagers the bread that I made. It might be a little stale because it's been in my pockets for a day, but I'm sure they don't mind. After that, I decided to do some farming. But of course, just like it does every other day in this stupid world, it started raining again. You know, Bedrock, I love you and all, but please stop raining. Ignoring the unlucky rain, I started breeding up my cows and then slaughtering them because, you know, I was getting a little low on steak. I mean, you can't blame me. After chopping down a couple trees, I decided it was finally time to go to sleep. Day 104 started off with some more gathering for my wonderful creeper farm. I swear I'll start building it soon. After that, I started planting down some more saplings because I have to make sure that I always have a good amount of trees. Then I made myself a couple of diamond swords because I wanted to get one of the best swords you can get in this game. But in order to do that, I'm gonna have to lose some of my 60 levels. After finally getting a decent sword, I decided to add it to my King's Blade and anvil, and yep, this is a pretty good sword, but not quite sharpness 5. I then went outside to break some sugarcane because I needed some books for lecterns, and then after that, I took a nap. To sum up day 105, this is it. You're watching it. This was the entire day, this is what I did, this is all I did, and it sucked. I hated it. This was a lot of effort just to get looting 3 on my sword, but I still did it either way. After that, I gathered up some more materials for the creeper farm, and then I went to bed. Day 106, I was back in the nether, because now that I have looting 3, I wanted to try my luck at getting wither skeleton skulls. Now, I don't know if I got very lucky or what, but it literally took me less than 5 minutes to get all 3 skulls, which honestly is pretty crazy. I spent the remainder of my time in here collecting blaze rods for potion brewing and other purposes, and then I also got a little lost, but I made my way back through the portal, and I was back at home for 107. I don't know what came over me day 107. but I just felt like fighting something, and nothing in this game is really challenging. Except for one thing in particular. So I started branching out, building a giant tunnel underground, and well, I guess it was time. I was ready, and this was my moment. I'm just kidding. I went back upstairs and went to bed. I ain't fighting the wither yet. What do you think I am? But you know what I'm not joking about? Apex hosting. Apex hosting is the best way of getting a Minecraft server, hands down. Right now I'm currently using it for my Discord server so they have a place to have fun and play games together. It's Bedrock and Java compatible, so you can really just have it so anyone can play. I highly recommend it. Use the link down in the description if you plan on getting a Minecraft server. And yeah, back to the 100 Days movie. Don't mind me, just chop down more trees on day 108 because that's all I do in this world. And if you're curious where all this wood is going, well, you could just look at this shulker box. I will say, towards the end of the night, I made a lot of progress in the material list, but the only thing I really need left, besides more trapdoors, is 30 stacks of cobblestone. How am I supposed to get— Day 109, I was preparing myself with an ultimate bow because I was going to be fighting the wither. Yes, that's right, the wither. Now, some of you might be questioning why I'd fight the wither instead of mining, because obviously I need to mine. Well, the bedrock wither is a little different compared to the Java wither, and well, I'll leave you with that. I then found myself in the nether because I was trying to get some levels so I could actually combine my bows together to get a really good one. But that got kinda boring, so I decided that I was going to save that for later. Day 110, I was just making potions and trying to prepare myself the best I could before fighting the beast of the wither. I made sure to bring everything that I could think of, and I even spawned in an iron golem, not that he did much. But yeah, it was finally time to start this battle, and pray that I didn't end up dying. And with that, the battle had been won, and I had gotten another star. Earlier I mentioned that this didn't really have to do with gathering blocks, but just looking around, I think you might be able to tell that there's a couple pieces of cobblestone on the ground. And by a couple, I had enough to fill an entire shulker box. Yeah, that's a little insane. Day 111, I focused on chopping down more trees and gathering more items for my creeper farm. I promise you we're almost done at this point. Just a couple more stacks of trapdoors and we should be fine. After all that, I decided to make myself up my beacon. Yes, this is very exciting. This is actually my first time ever having a beacon on Bedrock Minecraft, so it's quite the achievement. Speaking of achievements, I don't have any more achievements on this world. I think it's because I'm playing on a world download and not the original, save. But if you guys have any tips on that, please let me know, because I can guarantee you there's a couple achievements I've missed out on. After that, I broke down some sugarcane and went to bed. Day 112, I decided I wanted to get some totems, so I decided to find a pillager outpost that took the entire day. But on day 113, I found a pillager captain, slayed him, and then I went to a village, and well, it was battle time. Everything was going good until the villager raiders decided they wanted to spawn underground in a cave. Yeah, this made my life a living nightmare because I literally spent the entire morning trying to dig these guys up, and finally I found their stupid cave and they nearly killed me. But finally, after many waves, I killed the final mob. And I got Hero of the Village, which was awesome because that meant I got discounted prices when I traded with my villagers, which honestly, I'll take it, more profit. The good news I do have about all of this is that I did end up getting 4 or 5 totems altogether, which is amazing because now I feel even more safe. I also learned that villagers light off fireworks when you finish a raid. I didn't know this was a thing, but now I do. By the end of day 113, I made it back home and decided to hang up some decorations after getting organized. I promise this is not a threat, it's just me showing some interior love, I guess. Day 114 started off with me going to the Nether because I needed 2 ender pearls, and wow, this looting comes in handy. After making 2 ender chests and getting a little organized, I decided I needed to chop down a couple more trees. We're getting very close to building this creeper farm. Oh look, we're back in the Nether. Yeah, I wanted to find a bastion because I haven't done that in this world yet, but I traveled thousands of blocks and didn't spot a single one, and at one point I got very lost and had to bring up my old video to see where my cords were to my base. So, yeah, I don't think we're going to be finding a bastion anytime soon. Day 115, I decided to look through all of my stuff, and I learned that the only thing I'm missing is a couple stacks of slabs. This surely won't take that long to get, right? After doing a little bit of digging, and a little bit more digging on day 116, I finally felt like I had exactly what I needed to start building this creeper farm. And so I packed up my shulker boxes and headed out to the ocean right next to my base. By the end of day 121, I had successfully completed the entire farm, so I decided to turn it on, and holding a looting sword, I actually get more than what I would normally, which is pretty cool. After going AFK for exactly 10 minutes, I got 48 gunpowder, which is really good, but this farm is supposedly supposed to be a little bit better, so we're gonna be increasing the rates of this a little bit, hopefully within the next few days. The rest of day 22, I actually didn't really record, which I am sorry, but I did manage to get all of my shulker boxes and place them back, and yeah, they were pretty much empty, but what does scare me is that I had a couple leftover tools and stuff I didn't use. I'm sure it's fine. My farm still works, right? After getting everything organized, I decided that I needed to do a little bit more AFKing because I needed a lot of gunpowder. Day 123, I gathered up some more cobblestone because I needed a ton more slabs because apparently I didn't build the roof big enough and it needs to be 4 wider on every single side. Unfortunately, I didn't grab enough stone the first time, so I had to come back down and mine a lot more. After I finished up placing down all the slabs, I decided I wanted to go AFK for another 10 minutes to see if I could get more than 48 gunpowder. Hopefully this worked. Well, I can confidently say that this definitely did improve a little bit, but I think we can make it a little better. After going back to my base, I decided I needed to do one thing and one thing only that would completely change the rates of my farm, and that was to travel all the way down to the massive cave that lives beneath my base. And let me tell you right now, I probably placed 1,000 torches in this cave. I was in here for 3 whole days, which if you don't know, that's about an hour. For an entire hour, I was running around, I was breaking coal, and then I was using sticks, and then I just made a bunch of torches and placed them all down. Let me tell you, there's not a single mob that is going to be spawning down here, I can promise you. Now, with all of this work done, have I finally gotten a really good creeper farm? Well, I'll let this speak for itself. Now, don't be confused, I did not get almost 3 stacks. No, I got pretty much the same amount as last time, about 1.5 stacks. So after that, I decided I needed some sand because I wanted to get myself some TNT. And, well, if you know anything about the goals for this episode, I think you know what's coming next. After crafting up 36 TNT, I decided to go to the Nether and build a tunnel going all the way down to, well, where you want to mine at for ancient debris. And after laying out almost all of my TNT, I decided it was time to explode it. After grabbing all the ancient debris I could get my hands on, I went back home, got everything organized, and started smelting up all of the iron, gold, and other crap that I've gotten through caving. And then apparently, instead of collecting it and getting netherite tools, I decided to box myself in my creeper farm and just kind of go AFK for a while. I don't remember doing this, but I guess I did. Now, how long did I do this for? Well, 5 days to be exact. 5 whole days. I don't think gunpowder is going to be an issue for a very long time. After ending a whole bloodline of creepers, that wasn't enough for me. Now I need to destroy the natural earth. One desert later, I was finally able to craft myself an entire stack of TNT. Okay, now this time for sure, I should be able to get enough for my armor and tools. That's like, what, 36 netherite altogether? Well, I blew up a giant hole, and I guess there is some ancient debris in here. I mean, altogether, I was able to get 13, which isn't bad, but it's not great. So I decided to try mining by hand, and well, this is a waste of time. I got basically nothing from doing this. Day 136, I decided to head back to my creeper farm because I needed all that extra gunpowder. I don't care. I am just going to get as much ancient debris as I can. Who cares if I spent 5 days AFKing for this? During the next 2 days in this Minecraft experience, I devoted my life to getting ancient debris. I don't care, alright? I am going to end this off with as much ancient debris as I can. After exploding all of my TNT, I still didn't reach the goal I needed, so I started hand digging for the next like 20 minutes, which is a full Minecraft day. By the end of all of it, I had plenty of ancient debris to finish off a full set of netherite armor and gear. After that, I laid out as many expensive blocks as I could just to try and get a full beacon, but sadly, we're not quite that rich. Day 139, I did something a bit different and actually went on an adventure to the cave that I haven't been in since the original 100 Days movie. And that's when I realized I was being followed by my cat, so now I had a new objective: keep this cat alive, don't let him die. I then proceeded to spend the next day and a half looting an entire abandoned mine shaft just because it had a lot of iron in it, and that was my main objective. I was trying to get as much iron as I could so I could get a full beacon. By day 142, I made it back up to the surface and put 1 stack of iron in every furnace. You know, I should really make a blast furnace. They exist in this game for a reason, but you know what? That's future me problem. After that, I decided there's some construction that needs to go on, and that is this water slide and ugly cliff. I can't stand these. I don't know how I haven't fixed it yet, so I got out my blue spoon that's no longer blue and started shoveling away a giant empty area. The good thing about this giant open area is that I could put a villager trading hall right here because I need a new one really bad, and I need to get a zombie. I need to do all of that, so this is the perfect moment. By day 144, I started laying out the outlines for my villager trading hall. It might not look like much, but what I can guarantee you is that it's going to be amazing. Almost as amazing as you joining my Discord server. That's right, I have a Discord server that you can join right now by clicking this little link in the description. It would help me out a bunch because we're trying to reach 500 members by the end of the year, and you know what? I think we can do it. But back to the 100 Days movie. After doing a bit more planning, I decided to go back to my base, get a little prepared, and come up with a game plan. can, and then I went to bed. Day 145, I decided to leave my compound because I needed some spruce, and I thought this taiga biome would be perfect. Not only would I be able to trade, but I'd also be able to build, and you know what? Spruce is probably the best wood in the game. Later during the day, it decided to start raining like it always does, but I wasn't gonna let that stop me. Armed with enough wood to satisfy your mother, I went back to my compound and decided to sleep for the night. Day 146, I spent the first few minutes AFK trying to find a good tutorial for a villager trading hall, but needless to say, I decided to kind of make my own design. Armed with the vast knowledge of the game that I have, I decided to make myself some fletching tables, broke some sugar cane so I could make some paper for lecterns, and then it was off to bed. Day 147 started off with me in the mines because I had to get a bunch of cobblestone so I could craft up a bunch of different pistons. After gathering up every single material I needed, the last thing was name tags, and I know you can trade with villagers to get this, but I just don't feel like I have enough time to do that, so I decided to go exploring. Throughout the first day of exploring, really all I could find was these little villages, and unluckily none of them had the name tags I needed. And so I took a nap and decided to head overseas to see if I could find any abandoned mine shafts or any other kind of stuff that would hold valuable loot. Chest after chest after chest, I never found a single name tag, and it was starting to get really demotivating. And after 7,000 blocks of searching, I found this acacia village and just decided to take a nap and then head back home in the morning. And by the end of day 150, I had made it back home, organized my chests, and went to bed. Day 151, I grabbed up all of my expensive blocks in my beacon, and I went over to my flat area that I've been working on the previous few days. I wanted to set up a beacon so I could make my building and mining a lot quicker. While I'm building this beacon, I do want to mention that I am a little sick at the moment, so the next few minutes of this video might be a little annoying to hear. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get this out as quick as I can. Between recordings, I decided that I wanted to use my own farm design for this, so the villager trading hall might work as intended and it might not, but I finished this up, and by day 152, I started the building process, and I'm just gonna say it, for something I'm completely winging and coming up with on the spot, I think this looks really nice. Now I just have to repeat that same design twice. Now that all that building was done with, I placed torches, added bamboo, and a bunch of other decorations. Now the issue with how I built this is that these trapdoors are kind of in the way so the redstone doesn't work, so I actually had to do a little bit of destruction, but I did manage to get the pistons working, and everything was going smoothly. After I was done with all of that, I decided to break my house open, because I needed to get all of these villagers back to the little villager trading hall area, just so I can get those trades a little easier. Little did I know, this was about to be disastrous. After stealing all of the villagers' beds and going to bed myself, I quickly realized this was not going to go as smoothly as I intended. In fact, there might have been a little bit of death that happened during this whole experience, but eventually, I finally got the first dude in here. And, oh no, this is gonna be a problem. He doesn't have the Fletcher roll. Oh my god. But you know what? It's okay. After rolling this dude back to that little hole, I got him in the hole, and let's go. He actually turned into a Fletcher. You know, if that didn't work, I'm not gonna lie, this man probably would have died. Now I just had to give a home to this nice, beautiful villager again, and he turned into the Fletcher. So then I had to repeat this process again, and again, and again. I did this so many times, it took so many Minecraft days, but I promise it's gonna pay off. You just wait. My fortune is gonna be through the roof. I'm gonna be so wealthy. Even if my tactics rely on making the living into the undead and then back to the living. It's okay, they give me discounts. It's part of the profit. With all that preparation done with, it was finally time to see if my farm idea worked, and it did. I'm wonderful, spoiler alert. The zombies did kill the villagers, although sometimes I needed to push the villagers back so the zombies could actually hit them. A little flaw in my design, but it's fine. But I did realize eventually that I didn't have a ton of golden apples and that I needed a way to get more gold. So it was off to the nether. My nether experience was quite scary indeed. I was using an elytra narrowly escaping lava. You know, I flew so close to this, I probably singed off all the hairs on my body. But I did manage to grab all the gold I would ever need, and then I also did almost die. I'm just kidding, I was just fine, you know, this honestly it's no sweat, it's the easiest thing of my life. Once I made it back home from the nether, I decided to make as many golden apples as I could. It was only 15, but that's still 15 more than I had originally. With all these golden apples, now I just gotta sit back and relax and wait for all of my villagers to go back to normal. But Minecraft Bedrock works a little different than Java, which is what I'm used to. The whole trading hall system's a little bit different, and I didn't quite understand it, so I probably wasted a lot more materials than I needed to. But that's fine, because at the end of the day, it still worked. I mean, these profits speak for themselves. Throughout the rest of the day and night, I kept curing these zombie villagers over and over again because I wanted the best prices and discounts I could possibly get, because I'm greedy like that. After deciding patience was a skill I don't possess, I started trading a little earlier. Sure, I could have gotten better discounts, but it's okay because I'm still making a ton more than I would originally. I managed to end off the night with nearly a stack of emeralds, and if you ask me, that's pretty dang good. Day 162 started off with me turning my emeralds into blocks, and then I added them to my beacon. We're getting very close to filling this thing up. It's only a matter of trading until we get there. I then crafted up some more sticks because I'm a little greedy and I wanted more emeralds, and oh my god, I love these guys. After ruining multiple businesses, I decided to head over to the nether because I needed some more skulls so I could fight the wither once more. And you know what? This was starting to take a very long time, and I don't think I have the patience for this. So I started mining out a giant room. I've seen a lot of other YouTubers do this where they just mine a giant area in the nether fortress, or they place a lot of blocks, and they get a lot of mobs to spawn, so that's what I thought would happen. Unfortunately, it didn't appear like it. Nothing seemed to really be spawning, and it didn't really help much. My luck was terrible. I barely got any wither skulls. I killed probably dozens upon dozens. Even with looting 3, I was barely getting a thing. And finally, after about an hour, I got all the skulls I needed, so I mined up a bunch of quartz, gold, and other things I could get my hands on, and I went back to my base. By day 167, I returned home and I started organizing everything I could. I tried making as many golden apples as I could, but something tells me I didn't grab enough gold. 9 golden apples later, I decided I needed to make some more weakness potions because all I had was those golden apples, and that's not quite enough to convert villagers. I then walked over to my villager area and started converting the villagers. That sounds like I'm a sociopath, but we'll ignore that. And within just a few minutes, every villager was now a zombie, except for one. After that, I decided to go to bed. Day 168, I grabbed some of the shroomlights I grabbed while I was in the nether a few days ago, and I started placing them. Once I was done placing the shroomlights, I decided this place still looked a little bland, so I added some path blocks. After that little decoration break, I think this place looks a lot better. I then decided to convert a couple more villagers, and finally, those prices are starting to look cheaper and cheaper, and I'm all for it. I then flew over to my creeper farm and spent a full day AFK. After AFKing for only a day, I guess 55's alright. After a quick nap, I grabbed myself some sugarcane because I wanted to make some more rockets. I was getting a little low, and you know what? It's better to be safe than sorry. After making the rockets, I opened my ender chest, and oh my god, I completely forgot about all of these rockets that I made. You know, I'm kinda rich. After that, I decided I wanted to start gearing up for my next fight, and I completely forgot how to make regeneration potions, and well, I think you can see this isn't going very well. In fact, I accidentally made weakness potions. I don't even know how I did this. I then regretted not having any gunpowder left over, so I went to get a little bit. This time I only got 10 because I was there for like a minute, but then after that, I went to bed. Day 171, my 2 brain cells finally figured out how to make a regeneration potion. I then made some glass bottles because all the other potions that I had ready were kind of weakness potions because I'm not very smart. So, at least my villagers will be set. Day 171 was also a day I realized I had a big issue. All of my villagers had this red X that hasn't disappeared in days. I don't know how to fix this, and this is probably going to be a 300 days thing if I ever get to that, but whoops, I did something wrong. I then grabbed every item I think I could possibly need for the wither fight, and then I headed down to descend into chaos. Now I don't know if I'm just really unlucky and just chose the worst place ever, but every single one of these tunnels I made led to a cave. No matter where I dug, it just seemed like it ended up in a cave. But finally I got a line that didn't lead to a cave, and I thought this would be the perfect spot to fight the wither. This was it. There was no turning back. It was time to fight the wither. Once I killed the wither, I decided to try and get the nether star, and that's when I noticed I wasn't wearing my chest plate that entire battle. I still had the elytra on. What am I doing? I literally just costed myself 4 totems and possibly this entire series. Luckily, as you might have seen in that time lapse, I got so much cobblestone. This wither was like twice as destructive as the one I fought earlier in this video, and I'm very grateful for that because we needed 30 stacks of stone to build this enderman farm that I wanted to build. So yeah, this definitely made gathering blocks a lot quicker. By the time I picked up all the stone, it was practically nighttime, and I got a lot of this chest and this whole shulker box, so yeah, I'm gonna take a nap. I think we're set for now. Day 173, I started off with messing around with these wither roses. Listen, villager, it's not personal, it's just sometimes I get a little bored in this world. After trying not to kill these villagers, I decided it'd be best if I just kind of put them on display, because then I won't kill anything. I then spent a couple minutes gathering all the materials I'd need to build the enderman farm, and I did make some shears because I needed a ton of leaves. But as Einstein once said, if you give a kid a sharp object, he'll probably do something bad with it, maybe, possibly, I don't really know. That's probably a quote by him. Let's not fact check that. But I got a little distracted. I didn't end up shearing anything. Instead, I decided, hey, why don't I try getting some honeycomb? And let's just say my bees did not like this. Instantly, I was being stung over and over. It was World War B all over again. I thought I made it past this, but no. They were still just as angry as ever, so I grabbed some more honey hives, and I kept running and running. These things were gonna kill me. Was I really about to die to a bee? Out of everything it could possibly be, it's a bee? I'm just kidding. I wouldn't actually die to a bee. Psych! I started grabbing more honeycomb. I had to run for my life. These guys were really angry now. I had to play my attack strategy. They were coming fast, so I just kept running and running. Guys, I told you it's a joke. Everything's fine. I have it under control, I swear. No, I didn't. I came back in for more honey. Call me Winnie the Pooh because I was coming for that honey, dude. Okay, that's enough of that. By the end of the night, the BTS stands were still mad at me, so I decided to go sleep, and then finally on 174, I got myself some stacks of leaves. Now that I had gathered all the leaves I needed, it was off to go build my enderman farm. Or so I thought. The literal last item on my list was name tags, and I had no idea how to get them that well. Later I found out that I needed librarian villagers, but I still ran over here to check these guys, and their trades are still locked. please tell me how to fix this. I have no idea. I decided to pay a trip back to my old villager trading hall, and I remembered that I actually do have librarians. If I trade them books, I can level them up and then hopefully get a name tag. The only issue is that I didn't have many paper to spare, so I decided to grab some bone meal using Bedrock's wonderful feature. I started bone mealing and breaking my sugarcane. In the end, I managed to get a decent amount of books, but it still wasn't quite enough, and I didn't want to bone meal sugarcane for the next few days, so I decided to head over to my stronghold. Luckily, the stronghold had a library right next to the entrance, so I knew gathering books wasn't going to be a problem, but I did underestimate just how many books I would get from this. Stacks upon stacks of books. I will never need another book again. After all the trading, I had to wait for the villagers to reset so I could sell them more books, and this was the longest 10 minutes of my life. I had to wait until I could sleep again, so I just decided to farm. Farming's one of the few things I can do in this world that literally takes 2 brain cells, if that, and it's a good way to pass time. Speaking of passing time, since I had all this wheat, I decided to breed up a bunch of animals, starting with my cows and then my sheep. Finally, I was able to sleep, and good golly, Miss Molly, I needed this sleep. Also, pay no attention to the food in my inventory. I definitely didn't kill like every sheep I own. Day 178, I bolted downstairs and I started trading all of my books immediately. Within the flip of a switch, I was already done trading, I swear. I managed to get all of the name tags I could possibly need, and I have access to these dudes forever, so it's like, it's a good deal. Like, I always will have name tags now. I grabbed up my shulker boxes and prepared to go spend the rest of my life in the end. But instead, I found a pillager outpost captain. Now, this funny little guy right here is exactly what I need to get my totems back. So I decided, hey, you know what? Let's do it. Screw it, what could go wrong? Unfortunately, this village shouldn't count as a raid, probably because all the villagers are dead. It's totally out of my range. It's not my fault they're dead. So instead, I had to fly over to the stronghold. Wait, did I just kill a villager? I don't really have much interesting things to say about the raid, other than they did end up spawning in a cave again, which was a little annoying, but it's okay. But I did manage to get myself 5 totems, which I'm very, very happy with. Now that everything was all prepared, I hit the world's 2nd longest MLG of my life, and it was very awesome and epic, and then I jumped through the portal. Unfortunately, when it comes to being in the end, I am very slow and precise with my movements, and part of the problem with that is that I don't want to be risky at all. So I took this nice and slow. First, I gathered myself up some endstone, and then I spent a long time, probably a full day's worth of content, just trying to get some ender pearls, because you need to get an endermite for this, and spoiler alert, it takes a very long time to get endermites. But I'm not going to bore you with all that stupid information that nobody wants to hear, so instead, let's get straight into this timeline. On to, well, after I built this farm, I just want to know how you guys think about me recreating these in Java, because I'm able to make a really cool time-lapse using the replay mod. If you like this, let me know, I'll continue doing it. If you don't worry, it's the only time I'm gonna do this. Now that I had built the farm and everything else I could use, I decided to just wait until I fixed everything up with my minting, XP, all that stuff. After that, I returned back to my base and realized I'm at a bit of a weird stage, because I don't have a whole lot of time to do a big project, but at the same time, I still have 13 days. So what should I do? The answer to that was building. There was a bunch of different things I wanted to build throughout this entire episode, but I decided to not go to it because farms are more important. But now it was finally time. I started off with upgrading my paths, adding gravel and other blocks to it so it looks a little more interesting, and then I decided to remodel my animal farms a tiny bit because they looked really weird, outdated, squished, and I honestly just had sympathy for these animals. Like, I'm sorry, pigs. I don't have any pigs. And I will say this place is definitely starting to look a lot better. Day 188, I spent a couple minutes trying to build this nice little furnace area, which looks okay. And then I finally fixed up my house that's been broken for the last 50 days. It definitely needed a little bit of a fixer-upper, and I feel so bad for neglecting it for all these days. I then had the best idea I've had yet this 100 days, and that was to start texturing the grass around my land using moss blocks, trees, and a couple other things. This looked so good. So good, in fact, that I decided to fly all the way down to the taiga biome, grab a bunch of different saplings, and then I grew this whole area out, and just look at it. Tell me this is not the best thing you've ever seen. And then I spent the whole remainder of the 200 days doing the same thing, but to the mainland. I am not lying when I said I went all out with these decorations. I was having a blast, it was fun, and I just kept going and going. I went so all out that I even decided to grab a bunch of glowstone, shroom lights, and other light sources and hide them underneath moss carpet so you couldn't see a single torch in my compound. Already, that made it look so much better. And finally, we were on day 199. I grabbed my best pal Oreo, and together we watched the sunset as my journey ended. After saying goodbye to Oreo, I ran upstairs and I took the final sleep of this 200 days movie. Oh, God, what a stressful, oh God, oh!